Here I want to give you 14 pillars of enlightenment. I have to credit this list to a post in a forum, which I will link in the description down below. But I found it very interesting, and all these points also very true. And so here I want to share them with you. The first one is to have a daily meditation habit. And you can see that as developing a microscope for reality and for your mind. You will, through meditation, get a very direct experience of reality itself. Because usually if you don't meditate, you will overlook many things, you will get lost in your thoughts and concepts, and so it's very easy to, as we grow up, become more and more numb to our experience. And so with meditation, you keep kind of the connection to reality alive. And the second one is to really get a deep understanding of non-dual theory. Reading books, watching videos, going to talks, speaking to other people, and really get a good understanding of the map of where you want to go, of what lies ahead of you. Many other people have already gone through this and have learned about how to achieve enlightenment, how to grow spiritually, and so you don't have to invent everything for yourself new again. Of course, it will be very individual as well, but there are people who can guide you, and so really develop an understanding of the map, even though it's not the territory, as one says. So you have to be careful not to confuse the two, so that when you get a really good understanding of non-duality and enlightenment, you might confuse that understanding for actually being enlightened, and that's one trap that one should avoid. And then I'm careful with this, but the third pillar and the third recommendation is to take psychedelics. This can really give you a leap forward and give you a view of where this work will lead to. But I would not recommend it, only in certain cases where you really feel compelled to do it and you have done your research. Then if you really feel that's the path you want to take and integrate it into your practice, then there's nothing wrong with that. But it can also be very, very difficult in the experience itself. And I just don't want to recommend it to anyone, because I don't know, if you take a psychedelic on my recommendation and then you have a horrible experience, I don't want to be responsible for that. So do it on your own terms and on your own responsibility. And then something similar to meditation, which is the fourth recommendation to include in the practice, is self-inquiry. And what that means is to really ask yourself constantly the question, what are you? And keep an open mind to the question, because usually you think you are a human being and you have the answer, and then you stop thinking about it. But to keep that open in self-inquiry and let the answers come to you as a true experience in the moment is important, because the knowledge or the belief that you think you are a human being will close you off to those deep insights. And so in meditation you can also keep your awareness just open and always inquiry into this question, what are you? And remain in that space of not knowing. And then the fifth recommendation for the spiritual path is to also explore the outer world, to the external world inquiry, to ask, what is this all about? Why am I having such an experience? And so forth. And so that might at the end come to the same conclusion, because they are both leading to this realization of no self and therefore no world, as both are one, that are not separate from each other. So you can come at it from both sides. And then sixth recommendation is to travel, to explore the world, to really see the world from different perspectives, to explore what other people think about the topics that you never really think about, because you are always living in your culture and they seem so set and so clear. But this will shake up your worldview, because you come in contact with other ways to explain why you live the world around you. And so this is another strategy to soften up your really hard concepts about the world. And the eighth recommendation that's mentioned here is the cultivation of the authentic self, which means to learn about things like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and develop a life purpose. I've talked about this in other videos before. Self-actualization is something that's included in there, and then self-transcendence finally. Because this is also a process. You transcend the self only from a solid basis. You cannot expect to be enlightened when you're just a very young child. This is, I think, a very different form of enlightenment. So you want to develop yourself, you want to attend to the needs of the ego and to your basic needs of survival, to make sure you can concentrate your energies away from these very basic needs towards self-transcendence. So that's also part of the process and needed. So the next one is spirituality, which means in this context reconnecting the being to the watcher and purifying away illusions. That's also the same I've talked about before, discovering your own concepts that are just that, concepts about the world and not based in truth, but more so in belief, which you hold as truth. Discovering that and exploring this, and therefore becoming more free from your concepts. The 10th recommendation is cultivation of the body. Nurture and fortify the body, because it's where we live, which is the very basis and foundation of being able to do spirituality in the first place. To have this connection to reality through our bodies. And so exercising, eating well, not eating too much, not eating too little, and then really taking care of this physical vehicle we are inhabiting. And next up, you can explore art, because in art we express the unfathomable. Usually when you have taken psychedelics or you had deep experiences in meditation, you will see art in a very different way. You will see that art expresses this really unexpressible but beautiful experience that being is. And so art can really inspire you and see things in a new way. Next up, life practice, which means perfecting your strength in a way that makes you feel good, proud, eradicating weaknesses if authentically desired, which is similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but goes a little bit beyond that, because you also want to have a purposeful and successful life. So You want to set good habits, develop a good routine, and through all of that have a flourishing life that you are, in the end, you don't regret anything, and you are proud of that you have lived in this kind of way. Being good on the spiritual path, naturally after some time you don't need any moral rules anymore. You will be good naturally, but until then, not lying, behaving in a positive and good way in your relationships will make your spiritual development much easier. And then the last one is authentic relationships. And this really ties in with the deepest realization of oneness, where you see yourself in other people and then have the understanding that you are sharing this reality with yourself as other people, and from that develop a love to other people that is not needy, that comes from a place of unconditional love, really, where you are accepting other people as they are, as they might be at different points in their development, on their journey. You support them and you guide them through your understanding of the world, and really express this and hold space for them, for their own love to grow and for their own unconditional love to develop as it does in you. And so is a list of things to consider on the spiritual path, which I found very interesting and very true. So I wanted to share it with you. And please let me know in the comments what you think about it, if you have something to add. And see you in the next video.